Hello and welcome. It is good to be together today. Our first reading comes from Amos chapter 6. The crux of it seems to lie in these first two lines. Thus says the Lord, the God of hosts, woe to the complacent in Zion. Lest anyone try to rationalize their behavior, Amos spells it out. They're lying in fancy beds, stretched on couches, eating without working, wine, oils, wanton revelry. All of this has led to their not being made ill by the collapse of Joseph. It is not exactly that seeking comfort or security is the central problem, but that these behaviors have resulted in a complacency that has a carelessness to it. It has an obliviousness to it in the face of some dire societal problems. And so woe to them who exist in this bubble. And so we begin our readings this way, with pity for those who are at ease in the world, who eat and drink without thought or care. Woe to those who do not give attention to the people outside their door. Alas, for them. For those who do not see how being at ease with the state of the world can be a thing of woe, or how paying attention to only one's comforts can lead to downfall, Luke would like to introduce you to Lazarus. Quote, there was a rich man dressed in purple garments and fine linen, who dined sumptuously each day. And lying at his door was a poor man named Lazarus, covered in sores, who would gladly have eaten his fill of the scraps that fell from the rich man's table. On closer inspection of this story, I realized that it has no real description of any interactions between Lazarus and the rich man. And so I think perhaps there were none. Perhaps the rich man never really even noticed Lazarus. Hard to believe since he was right outside his door. His downfall, perhaps, was his complacency. And so, yes, woe to that rich man. His wealth shielded him from the realities outside his door, and the consequences were dire. When Dorothy Day of the Catholic Worker wrote about the need for proximity with people who are poor, it was in both mind and body. In the postscript to her autobiography, The Long Loneliness, Dorothy wrote, we cannot love God unless we love each other. And to love, we must know each other. We know him in the breaking of bread, and we know each other in the breaking of bread, and we are not alone anymore. Heaven is a banquet, and life is a banquet too, even with a crust, where there is companionship. The work that comes out of this proximity is nothing less than the works of mercy. These guides from Matthew 25 are at the heart of the Catholic worker movement. Dorothy often remarked that if you truly saw the person in front of you as Christ in the world, one could not merely say, go, be thou filled. The Gospels call us to feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, house the homeless, give clothes to the naked, visit the prisoner, care for the sick, and bury the dead. This personalist approach means that you feel a responsibility to the person in front of you, a responsibility that ought not be deflected to the state or to the church. On May 1st, 1933, when Dorothy Day and Peter Morin handed out the first issue of the Catholic Worker newspaper, it in many ways echoed Amos. Let us not be complacent as society collapses around us. The calling to its readers was to envision and enflesh a new society in the shell of the old. It was a revolution to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. Rarely are there difficult readings in our lectionary that do not include a reminder of the blessings promised us. If you read the entirety of Psalm 146, we find a breathtaking description of the world we seek, where the just are rewarded and the wicked thwarted, the captives are free, the hungry are fed, and all are sustained. In the psalm, this new world is already happening. It is written in the present tense. God is already at work. Dorothy saw the possibility of this new society in the shell of the old everywhere, in the face of those at the door, in the small kindnesses of strangers, and in donations that arrived at precisely the moment they were needed. I've always loved what Dorothy once wrote about her co-founder, Peter Morin, that he made you feel a sense of mission as soon as you met him. He did not begin by tearing down or by painting so intense a picture of misery and injustice that you burned to change the world. Instead, he aroused in you a sense of your own capacity for work, for accomplishment. He made you feel that you and all people had great and generous hearts with which to love God. Amos is a serious warning against our complacency, and the story of Lazarus illustrates some dire consequence. But the psalm is the promise. It too arouses in us a sense of our own capacity to do the work of justice. It upholds the vision of this more just world, one that is happening right now, and one that we must not allow our complacency to keep us from entering into. Thank you.